And she didn't teach me about, oh, I'm listening to you, baby, or, you know, I'm hearing you, or I see you. She was just being her. And that's one of the keys to optimistic parenting, is you teach yourself. So we can go through our lives with our children. We can be stay-at-home parents or working parents, but are you really present? Are you really seeing them? Are you really hearing them? And another thing that I really work with families is that as they get older, you have to keep looking and listen for the things that are not said, because they're not always going to be an open book. I think it's really important that as they get older that you keep that relationship. You know, the fact that I have older boys that come and ask questions about dating and their girlfriends and things like that, I feel really creating the space that they can be themselves and that they know that I actually am invested in listening to them. One of the things that I've also been able to gift my children, because sometimes we gotta teach what we most need to learn, because I didn't have it at home, was modeling trust. And so just last week, I was focusing on my eating, and I was cooking and cutting in the kitchen, and my 9-year-old saw that I got a new gadget for the kitchen. It was one of those zucchini spiral cutters into spaghetti noodles, and he's like, oh, I want to do that. Not that he was going to eat it, but that he wanted to at least do that. And so I'm cutting up my mushrooms. Actually, I didn't even suggest mushrooms. He told me, he's like, oh, I think mushrooms would be really good. I was like, oh, that's a great idea. So then, you know, I'm having my zucchini with my mushrooms and my little sauce that I made with it. And then he said, Mom, can I saute some mushrooms? My 9-year-old. And I was like, why am I going to say no to that? So he started to cut up his mushrooms, and he saw that I had put some coconut oil and mixed all my zucchini noodles, and he jumped right on that, got the coconut oil, and he's stirring his little saute, and then he's stirring his pasta, because he's making some real pasta. And then at the end, he mixed it all together with red sauce, and he sat down and he enjoyed his meal. So the gift of one of the other keys is modeling trust. Now, if I had been hovering over him, concerned about the knife, concerned about the spiral piece that's sharp, and not giving him the space to explore, he wouldn't have trusted himself. He would have needed to look over and maybe I should ask Mom for help. But when we create the space for them to really trust themselves, then that grows their trust even more. So on my Sundays, I get to spend it with other families, and just in this past Sunday, I was talking with a family, and so the parents actually come with their children to the classes, and the parents all sit down and observing and watching, and there was a child who was learning to put her shoes on, and her mom was sitting close, really wanting to give her the space, but really pensive looking at the shoes. And I looked over to the mom and I said, can you give her even more space? Can you observe even more? Rather than looking at the strap that was getting in the way and like, I know I could just fix it. I know I could just, you know, help her. But I asked her to give her some more space to do that. So then the daughter started to put the shoe on the wrong foot, and Mom is like, ready to come out of her skin. And I said, wait. And the daughter, once she put it on, realized that didn't feel comfortable. So she took it off and reached for the other shoe. When we create that space, there's not a lot of asking of help. And it's very different from when I grew up. We had a lot of space. We could go and explore and check in at lunchtime and then come back at 5 o'clock. And everything was going to be okay. And a lot of the children today don't have that opportunity. And so they don't have a lot of trust, not only in themselves, but also in their parents, and then also their environment. So So their world gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And so that's where the third key comes in, facilitating freedom. So facilitating freedom is allowing them to mess up in their small world right now. So if you hop in the car and your son hops in the car and you drive off to soccer and he's like, oh mom, I forgot my shin guards. It's not that you're gonna go turn around to go get those shin guards. That was part of his responsibility for being there. So you take him to the practice and he has to deal with the consequences. That's not always easy because it's our job to make it right. It's our job to make our children happy. And it's not our job. They have choice. And we have to remember, even as a young child, they have a choice of, I want to pack my bag and make sure everything's ready before I leave. I want to make sure that I'm getting my homework in time. So even when my children were growing up and they were in school, and for whatever reason, you know, in their progress report, they weren't doing well.